Hi everyone, let's cover the topic of drawing a line of best fit, and then let's go into an even more difficult topic of creating an equation for the line of best fit. So first of all, when you're creating a line of best fit, you want to create your line so that when you draw it, you have the same number of points above the line as below the line. And you want to try to go through as many points as possible as well. So let's go ahead and count this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points above the line. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 below. So that means my line is too high. So let me see if I can make this a little bit better. Okay, let's try this a little bit better. Okay, let's see what we did there. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm off by 1, but honestly that's not too bad. I'd certainly mark that correct. So that's the best I can do there. And notice how that's a positive slope, and that would be called a positive correlation, meaning that the more time you study, the more your test score goes up. That's what a positive correlation. As you increase one, the other thing also increases. All right, let's try a line of best fit here. I'm going to try my best. Ooh, I think I've got way too many below, don't you? Okay, let me try this again. All right, now I have 1, 2, 3 above and 1, 2, 3 below. And notice that this has a negative slope, and that's because there's a negative correlation. As your time at the mall goes up, your money remaining in your pocket goes down. So that is a negative slope or a negative correlation. All right, what two things do you need to find the equation of a line? Well, remember, we can write our equation as y equals mx plus b. And I'm just going to use these colors to kind of help us with the procedure that we're going to follow shortly. So those two things are m, which is slope, and the other thing is b, which is the y-intercept. So that's what we're going to need to create the equation of our line of best fit. Here are the steps, and I'd recommend actually pausing this video and getting these steps down. All right, you're back. So let's go ahead and let's plot 2 points. Let's go with this point right here, 1, 1, and let's go with maybe 2, 6. Why not? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find slope using the following formula. Please add this to your notes. The slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Or if you prefer, change in y over change in x. So to start this, we're going to label our coordinates. And it doesn't matter how you label which one. Just make sure you label it as an x and a y and an x and a y. Just like we normally talk about x's and y's, but then maybe declare one as the first coordinate and the other one as the second. So for example, I'll call this the first coordinate, so they both get 1s, and this would be the second coordinate, so they both get 2s. These numbers always have to match on the coordinate, and it always has to be x then y. Same thing here, these numbers have to match. All right, let's go ahead and plug this in. This is going to give us our y2, which is 6, minus our y1, which is 1. And then we're going to have in the denominator our x2, which is 2, minus our 1, which is our x1. And this is going to give us 5 over 1, which is 5. So what did we just find? Well, we just found that the slope is a rise of 5 over 1. In other words, our slope is 5. And you might say, Ms. Sorensen, that's a whole lot of work from when I could have just looked at the graph. And the thing is, you're totally right. However, we're going to do problems where we don't have a graph and we cannot do this. All right, so next step we're going to do is we're going to write y equals mx plus b. But I want you to substitute, and maybe add this to your notes as well. Substitute into m. And I'm going to put that in blue. So we're going to have the equation y equals 5x plus b. All right. I guess I shouldn't have done that x in blue. That's not technically my slope. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to plug in 1 point. And I'm going to just highlight that point in green. And it doesn't matter which one you choose. Let's go ahead and choose the 2, 6. And so I'm going to put in for my y value is 6. So that's going to be a 6. And then I'm just going to continue to plug in as I go. I'm going to keep my blue for 5 for my slope. And then for my x, notice that my x is given as 2 in that point that I've chosen. So this is going to be 5 times 2. And then I'm going to have a plus b. I'm going to actually make that b in purple. And the reason why is here our y-intercept was in purple here. And let's just keep that consistent. All right, so plus b. All right, so now I'm going to solve this. So I know that I have 6 equals 10 plus my b. And to solve for b, I need to get that positive 10 on the other side. And to do that, I subtract 10 from both sides. The 10's cancel, and I'm left with a negative 4 equals a b. And that's huge, right? I want to write that here, that my b is equal to negative 4. That's key, and also the fact that up above I had my slope of 5. So my final step here is to rewrite the equation for the m you found in part 1 and the b you found in part 2. So in other words, they want you to keep the m, and they want you to keep the b that you found, but nothing else. What I mean by that is in your y equals mx plus b, keep everything except for the slope and the y-intercept. You're going to write the 5 in there, and you're going to write the plus, and then you're going to get your b in there. And of course, 5x plus a negative 4 is completely correct, but if you want to just write this as a 5x minus 4, that's just as correct as well. Both of those work. So that's your answer. That's the slope of that line. All right. Let's tackle one that's harder. We're going to tackle one that's more difficult because this is what you'll be given as a problem on a quiz or a test, and it's more realistic. A real-life situation doesn't necessarily have a perfect slope or y-intercept. All right, first thing let's go ahead and choose 2 points. I'd choose 2 points that are pretty close on the graph or on the line of best fit. So I'll call this point 4, 40. And then what else? What's another good one? Maybe this point right here, 7, 70. Maybe 7, 80. Just do the best estimating that you can do. And let's label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, our first step is going to be to find the slope. So remember, we're going to do this formula right here. So that's going to be subtracting the y's and subtracting the x's. So this is going to be my slope equals, I'm just going to write the formula down for you. Oops, 2. Nope, that's wrong. Silly goose. All right, so now I'm going to take my y2, which is 70, right here. And then I'm going to take my y1, which is 40. And then I'm going to divide by my x2, which is 7 minus, and then 4. Remember, order of operations, we're going to do the grouping symbols first, which means that we're going to do the numerator. 70 minus 40 is a negative 30. Oh, just a positive 30. However, a 7... Yeah, I'm just thinking right now that I should get a negative, and does everyone notice I should have put a 140, right? There should be a 140 right here. I don't know how the heck I missed that, right? 140, not 40. So this should be actually 70 minus 140. And then a 7 minus 4 is still good. So 70 minus 140 is a negative 70. 7 minus 4 is 3. So my slope is negative 70 divided by 3. And doing that on my calculator, I get a slope of a negative 23.33. All right, so my slope, and I'm going to write this in blue, is slope equals negative 23.33. All right, next step is going to be to write y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to write it as, oh lordy, I love computers, you guys, they're the best. Y equals, and then I've got my negative 23.33, and then I'm going to have my x, and then I'm going to have my plus b. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in for a particular point. So it doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use the smaller numbers, 7 and 70. So my 70 goes where the y is. And then we're going to plug in our slope here, which stays our number of negative 23.33. My x value, if we look back at that green point, is 70. Oh, excuse me, is 7. And then I've got my plus b. All right. So now I'm going to just multiply negative 23.333 times 7. All right, and that's going to give me my 70, ooh, wrong color. I'm really into colors today, I don't know why. 70 equals, that becomes a negative 163.33, and then plus b. I'm going to have to add 163.33 to both sides. Bye-bye. 70 plus 163.33 is 233.33, and that's equal to my b. I'm going to go ahead and box that in purple. So my final step is going to be to write the full equation with the blue slope and the purple y-intercept. So my equation is y equals, and then I've got a negative 23.33x, and then we have our b, which is going to be a positive 233.33. And we should check to see if this answer makes sense. Does our y-intercept roughly go through 233? Well, if I were to extend this, does that look like it'd be kind of like 233? Yeah, sure, it looks like it's in between 200 and 250, so I think that's good. Should we have a negative slope? Yes, we should, because it's going down. So if you remember that first mistake I made up here, I knew my answer had an issue because I wasn't getting a negative, and I knew my slope should have been negative here. And that's when I found that little silly mistake there. We'll certainly get some practice with this on the homework and in class. Thanks for watching, everyone.